Good evening. Oh, I knocked the microphone. How are you all? It is so nice to be here with you. I hope you can hear me. I hope you can hear me. I've got my microphone plugged in tonight. I am very excited because it's a new trip launch, and there's nothing better than coming live on Facebook to launch a new trip, especially when it is completely new. And I have been called a pioneer for developing this itinerary, and it is not a common trip itinerary at all. So, I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited to be live here and talking about this amazing trip. Now, I'm just going to navigate to where I need to be, make sure I can see everything that's going on. So, if you're watching tonight, or maybe you're watching the replay, let me know in the comments where you are tuning in from. I always love to know where people are. I am in Geelong, in Victoria. So, not too far from Melbourne, maybe an hour's drive for those of you who aren't from Vic. Um, and yeah, so I am just down the road from Melbourne and I'm here with you tonight. And we are going to be talking about all the highlights of this most amazing trip. So, a quick intro into me and who I am. A lot of you know who I am. I am Penny Wilson, the founder of Pip Co Travel. And Pip Co Travel is going to be celebrating its second birthday later in the year. So I'm looking forward to celebrating that as well. By the way, I've got my hot drink tonight. No celebratory champagne or wine for me, but I'm very happy with my hot drink. I hope you have also got a drink with you as well, whether it is hot or icy or somewhere in between. So, Pip Co Travel is a very small company. It's just me, and I focus on running small group trips for women to Asia, predominantly Southeast Asia. So, that's the area of the world that I have traveled a lot in, that I have lived in, that I love, that I know, languages that I've learned, and I am branching out of Southeast Asia in March 2026 as well. So some of you might be across where that trip is going to, and that is to Sri Lanka, which is very exciting. I know some of you are very excited about that one, as of course am I. So now I not having such great luck with this. Let's see if it's going to be working for me now. Hopefully it's all working. For some reason, I just can't see my other view. Let me just see if I can see it on here. Probably won't be able to, will I? Oh yeah, it all looks good on here. So I will keep going. I just can't see any comments or anything, so I'm really sorry. Um, why I can't see comments. I can't see who is watching, who is here. Um, and yeah, that doesn't normally happen. So I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I will just talk and I'll see if I can figure it out as I go along. Um, this trip, like I said in my little intro, is a new trip. And it's exciting because, as I was told by my partners in Cambodia, oh, Penny, you're a bit of a pioneer for doing this type of trip because it's not a common way to travel between the two countries. We're not going to common destinations. This is off the beaten track, which is super, super exciting. Um, and for a lot of you that do like to do things a bit differently, I think this trip is going to be really, really exciting for you. So it's a 14-day trip and it begins in Saigon in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam and ends in Siem Reap in Cambodia. So entry exit points of the trip are both really easy to get in and out of for Australians, especially Saigon. There are so many direct flights from different cities in Australia straight into Saigon and Vietnam. So that is really great, really easy. And after having, I think 6 nights in Vietnam, there is 7 nights in Cambodia, so it's roughly half and half. So over the 13 nights, you get to experience two different countries, which I think is really cool as well. So it's 2 weeks, but you do get to visit two different countries. So I am really excited about helping people have that experience because it will be the first time we've done a two country in one trip. So I've talked about getting there in a way. I can go into that in a little bit of detail later if anyone's got any particular questions. Um, Climate, I know, is something that people are always really curious and interested about. But basically, January, February is one of the best times, if not the best time, to be in southern Vietnam and in Cambodia. It's the coolest period, even though it's hot and humid all year round, it is the coolest kind of time to be there, which I think is great for travel. It's before Lunar New Year, so before Tet, the big, massive Lunar New Year celebration that happens in Vietnam. And so there's a really great buzz everywhere. The decorations are out, people are, in full preparation mode before Lunar New Year. And I think it's a really nice time to be there. But of course, you're in Cambodia and then you're home by the time Lunar New Year actually hits. So you're not going to be there and caught up in public holidays, enclosures, and all that kind of stuff. Um, some of the highlights, which I think are going to be just top notch on this trip, is of course arriving into Saigon. There is so much to love about that city. I'm biased because I have lived there a couple of times now and I just truly love it. But the street food is just sensational. The hidden alleys, the streets, the walking, the historical feel of the tree-lined boulevards, the rooftop bars, the coffee scene. I mean, there is a lot to love about Saigon. And the hotel there in Saigon is beautiful as well. A great pool, great rooftop. There's so much to enjoy when you're there. One of the exciting things to do in Saigon, and which this trip will get to do, is go on a street food tour on the back of a Vespa through the busy streets of Saigon. And if that sounds a little bit intimidating and overwhelming, don't fear because the drivers are super well trained. Everyone's got helmets, everyone drives slowly and carefully. But if it's really something you don't fancy doing, of course, there will be a taxi slash Uber Grab option for you as well. So that's something to really look forward to. The history side of Saigon is super interesting. And some of the walking, around the city is just a true highlight. And I think everyone will really get a lot from that. So that's something to really look forward to. Because I can't see comments, I can't see whether anyone's actually been to Vietnam before or if you've been to Saigon. I would love to know if you have and what you felt about the place when you were there. I know some people who've traveled with me before have said that they just loved it so much and they wished they'd had extra time. In fact, one of my travelers who came to Vietnam with us last November is coming back to Vietnam again this November and going to Cambodia as well. So she just, she loved Saigon too. So it's a real highlight on a lot of people's itineraries. So after the time in Saigon, it's time to say goodbye to the busy city and to head out to the Mekong Delta and along the Mekong River. Um, Again, it's something quintessentially kind of Vietnamese, and I think these experiences of being along the Mekong, riding in a traditional little sampan boat in the narrow canalways with the canopy, the tree canopies across the canals. It's peaceful, it's beautiful. The photography is awesome. Yeah, that's a really great experience. So that's one of my highlights of being down on the Mekong. Another one is getting up super early, like I'm talking like 5 a.m. early, and getting down to the river before dawn to witness the traditional floating markets. So back in the day, trade, buying, selling, wholesale fruit and veg was all done on the river. And this exists in a tiny kind of fraction of what it used to be. But it's fantastic to still have the opportunity to see it happening. And of course, to partake in some of the buying and selling ourselves. I think being on a boat and being able to order your breakfast noodles, your breakfast coffee, your coconut to drink, some cut up pineapple, it's a real thrill and something that you can't really do easily elsewhere. Um, so yeah, lots of highlights down the Mekong. So there is a beautiful night at a wonderful rustic kind of bungalow lodge that's set not far off the Mekong River. The bungalows are all set around this gorgeous creek. There's a really nice pool and restaurant there, and yeah, it's really beautiful. Um, on to the next night in the Mekong, and it's traveling right across to the border with Cambodia to a place called Chao Dok. And the resort there is another sensational place to stay. It's called the Victoria Nui Sam Resort Lodge, and it's up on the hillside just outside of Chao Dok. And I think the highlight of staying there, other than the fact the accommodation is beautiful, um, is the view down the hillside across to all the rice paddies. And literally, you can see Cambodia as well. And the pool there is beautiful, so you can sit in the pool with your cocktail and be looking down at the rice paddies and over at Cambodia and be seeing um, this amazing view from the pool and from the restaurant. So that's really gorgeous. So that's the last night in Vietnam on this trip. And then your wonderful guide will take you by minibus to the border with Cambodia, where you'll say goodbye to your Vietnamese guide and hello to your Khmer guide and cross the border into Cambodia. And then it is a short drive to the city of Kampot, which is in Cambodia. It's on the border, but it's a little bit further south down towards the coast. And Kampot is known as, well, a couple of things. There's a lot of old style, kind of decrepit, decaying French colonial architecture there. It's also, Kampot is so well known for Kampot pepper. And one of the delicious things you can look forward to eating in Kampot is Kampot pepper crab. So definitely add that on your highlight list. Um, so it's a pretty relaxed night in Kampot, which I think is awesome. And then it is another short drive and then a speedboat down across to the island of Koh Rong, which is off the coast from Sihanoukville, on the southern point of Cambodia. And Koh Rong is a gorgeous island. I think it's not that big. I'm trying to wonder what it is. 70 square kilometers. Actually sounds quite big when you say it like that. That might not be right. Take that back. It's not overly developed, which is why I think it's great for this type of itinerary. There's 2 nights there in Koh Rong at this resort, and there's opportunity on the day that you have there to do whatever you feel like doing. So you might like to sit by the beach, you might like to read your book, have a drink, go for a walk, or you might like to do something a bit more active and go kayaking or snorkeling, take a boat tour, or find some of the more tricky kind of trails to walk around. So it's really a really beautiful, laid back resort experience. And really, that whole day is there for you to enjoy and do what you like. So after brekkie on day 10, you hop back on the boat back to the mainland, and then you jump in the car up to Phnom Penh, the capital of Cambodia. And there's a lot to do in the capital. It could be a little bit action packed for this day, but I think it's all really, really worthwhile. The history, the Khmer Rouge history is so recent. It's within a lot of our own lifetimes and lifetimes of people that we meet when we're traveling in Cambodia. I think it's really important, even though it's super confronting and upsetting, to learn about the genocide and to see some of where things took place. Um, so there's some really, tragic things to do in Phnom Penh. There's also a really great vibe in the city as well. So your dinner that night in Phnom Penh is on a rooftop, gorgeous views of the river and of the city, and a chance to have a walk around as well. So the next day, it's by Phnom Penh and back in the car and off to Siem Reap. And Siem Reap is a favorite place of mine as well because there's just so much to do and see there. It's a really fun place to be based. Even if you're not that into temples, there is so much to do. So on your first day in Siem Reap, it is a long drive to get there. It's about 5.5 hours, but there will be a couple of stops, so it will be manageable and really comfy along the way. And you get to go in tuk-tuks when you get there with the lady drivers, the Shrey drivers of Siem Reap. So I think it's a great business that's been set up to support women in business, and particularly in a field which is dominated normally by male drivers. And they're, wonderful drivers and great to work with as well. So first stop in Siem Reap is one of the highlights for a lot of people is going to meet the hero rats of Cambodia. These they're quite large. They're called African giant pouched rats. And if you've been on my Instagram or Facebook, you might have seen some photos up there of some of the women from the last trip holding these rats. And you do get a chance to hold one if you would like. But they've been trained to sniff out TNT, unexploded mines that are beneath the surface of the earth. So they're incredibly inspirational to meet. Um, and yeah, it's a great thing to do. So that's the first day in Siem Reap. Um, the next day in Siem Reap, another super highlight of mine and of others from the trip last year as well, is this home cooking market experience with a local chef just outside of Siem Reap. He takes you to a small market, introduces you to all the ingredients, and then back to his home for this amazing cook up in his beautiful outdoor kitchen. And then a really different, unique kind of awesome way to experience this cook up is part of the food that you've prepared with the chef gets taken with you on the back of the tuk-tuks to the local temple and given as an offering to the local monks there. And I remember last year when we did that with Chef Sophos, he told us it was the first time he'd taken an international group to do this at the temple, and he felt it was, such a great thing, an important thing to do. So yeah, I think he'll be looking forward to doing that again with the group that comes in January next year too. That afternoon, it's a beautiful experience going on a boat trip on the Tonle Sap Lake. It is the largest freshwater lake in Southeast Asia, and it is truly ginormous. If you have looked at a map of Cambodia, and if you do, I recommend you having a look. So say Cambodia looks like this. Tonle Sap Lake takes up a decent chunk of Cambodia itself. And to be on a boat and to be out there and just go, whoa, I cannot see land at all except from where I've come from, just shows the scale of this lake. But the reason we go out there as well as to see the scale and impressiveness of the lake is to witness the floating villages, and they're just an amazing sight. People who are living there, their kids are going to school, there's post office, police station, supermarket, loose, all out there on the water. And you get a chance to have a look around, and meet some of the people that are living there. And it's really, really beautiful. The next day in Siem Reap, a highlight for a lot of people coming here is, of course, seeing Angkor Wat. So, sunrise Angkor Wat, it's something that a lot of people, most people, I would say, who visit Cambodia. It gets very busy, but in my mind, it is still worth it because it's beautiful. You're there when it feels peaceful, even though it's busy, you still get this sense that you're somewhere truly amazing. And I think it's really, really worth the early morning wake up. Also, the other benefit, of course, being up early is that then you explore all of Angkor Wat before it gets hot and super sunny. So it's really nice. Um, I do get questions every now and then about the level, the amount of walking, stair climbing, fitness, that kind of thing. And I would say most of the trip is pretty okay. I mean, sure, you'll be needing to carry your luggage every now and then for a short distance, get on and off a minibus, get on and off a boat, a tuk-tuk, but there'll always be someone to help you. Walking around Angkor Wat can be a challenge, but there's plenty of places to stop, take a break, sit down, and of course, you can opt out of any of the extra climbs, towers, steps, those kind of things. And I know some of the people on the trip last year chose to skip a few of the climbs as well. So it's completely up to you for those extra things. Um, Another couple of the temples in that afternoon, including Ta Prom, which is the beautiful jungle temple that you will see in a lot of promo, including for my trip, but also you might have seen it in the famous Angelina Jolie movie Tomb Raider. And it's a great temple to visit just because it's so different to Angkor Wat because it is just there's vegetation everywhere, and it's great because it does keep you pretty nice and cool because there is a lot of tree cover. Um, a beautiful evening to finish off this amazing trip, and that is going to the Fair, Phare circus. So it's a NGO that's been established to help Cambodian youth get careers experience in acrobatics, art, storytelling, music, and the performers are just incredible. So it's an amazing show and a really cool way to finish off the trip. And I haven't talked too much about social enterprises, but of course they do feature as a bit of a highlight of places to go for eating, for supporting hospitality training, and getting coffee from amazing students who are getting, learning the ropes of working hospitality. And we, as visitors, with our money, are supporting them. And I think it's a great way, a great, small way to do so. So that's a little bit about the highlights. There's so much, and I know I probably just rah, 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 but there's some really amazing things on this trip. And I guess what makes this trip special is that it's always going to be a small group. 12 women is the absolute maximum. A lot of the trips sit around that 7, 8, 9 number, which I think is lovely. It's small groups. You're working and getting closer because you're in a small group with the community, with local people. I think there's a good balance of downtime and adventure, being with other people and having time to chill out as well. Perfect for women who are traveling by themselves, who don't have someone else to travel with, don't have their partner, friends, sisters, mother, daughter, whatever. And great if this is your first venture into Asia as well, because of course you'll be with fabulous guides and fabulous other travelers as well. Um, so I've talked a lot about some highlights. I think something else that's really wonderful to look forward to is trying your very first ever Vietnamese iced coffee. If you're a coffee lover, the coffee in Vietnam is something to look forward to. There's so many different types. And the iced coffees are great because they're so refreshing on a hot morning or afternoon. I think riding pillion on a motorbike through Saigon is extremely exhilarating and something I recommend to everyone. But of course, totally understand if it's not your thing. And I've talked about some of the other cool things on the Mekong that are super highlights as well. I think feasting on Kampot pepper crab is going to be up there as well. I would love to know what you're looking forward to about this trip. I wish I could see my comments. I don't know why. I really don't know why. Um, so I'm really sorry that I can't see who's here or who's commenting or what people have got questions. But if you have questions, comments, thoughts, please drop them into the comments. And when I finish the video, I'll be able to go back and answer them. And of course, you can message me anytime, anyway, email, on Facebook, on Instagram. The trip is exciting because it's new, because I'm launching. I'm very excited to offer the first two people that book into this trip and pay the $500 deposit will be eligible for a very special early bird bonus. And I haven't done this before, and I'm excited to offer it because I think it's great. It's an amazing kind of bonus. So it's valued at 198 Australian dollars, and it's one free night in Saigon at the beautiful Buck Suites before the tour starts. So the night of the 24th of January, which means you can have that night for free in Saigon before the trip starts to get refreshed, recover from the flight, start the trip beautifully, kind of, with all the energy that you need, and knowing that you got that night for free in a really nice hotel. So that is the early bird bonus, and it is valid for the first two people that book and pay their $500 deposit. So if you would like to be one of those lucky two people, all you need to do is to go on to the website pipandcotravel.com, go to upcoming tours, upcoming trips, navigate down to the Saigon to Siem Reap trip, and then you'll see there you can go down to book now and then get your name down and pay your deposit. And then I'll let you know if, and hopefully you are, one of the lucky first two. Something I haven't yet mentioned is the costings. So this is a 14-day trip through Vietnam, southern Vietnam and Cambodia. It includes breakfast every day, 13 breakfasts, 5 lunches, 6 dinners, all the amazing accommodation, mostly beautiful 4-star boutique, locally owned accommodations, hotels, lodge, resort, the island resort, really beautiful places. And I think something that's important and makes travel easy is your airport transfers are covered both when you arrive in Saigon and when you depart Siem Reap. And that doesn't matter when you book or what flight you take. I will cover the airport transfer for you. So a couple of things you need to be aware of that aren't included: international airfares, of course, your travel insurance, which is compulsory, your visa, which you also are required to get for Vietnam and Cambodia if you are on an Australian passport, and alcoholic drinks, which are not mentioned on the itinerary, aren't included. Neither is tipping, but we are normally have been doing for all the trips a tipping kitty, which I think is a really great way to manage tips in a central place so that you as an individual traveler don't have to worry about having cash, knowing how much to give. It's all decided before the trip starts how much the tipping kitty will be, and then the guide will manage that on your behalf. So the twin share per person price for this trip is 3,590 Australian dollars. And if you would like to upgrade and have your own room for this trip, it's an extra 1,290, which takes it to $4,880. So I really hope that this Facebook Live has given you an insight into this amazing trip. I am so excited to have this amazing new trip to launch for 2026. I think it's going to be a ripper of a trip, an amazing itinerary. and I can't wait to talk to you and see who gets their bookings in to grab that amazing early bird bonus. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I really appreciate all your support, and I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you.